Hey everybody, it's been a while. Tanya says break a leg, I'll try. Um, Last time we spoke, this was before I went to Thailand. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This video here is all about Vivaldi Solo Violin. Definitely the project that I've ever created that has made me the most mad. I think when you touch upon trying to recreate a master's tools, you eventually go a little bit insane in the process, admittedly. This video is all about that. If you guys want to hear everything, just let me know on the chats, and let me know if everything works out audio-wise as well. It's been a little while since I've set these things up, but if not, let's just get into it. I thought maybe we should just start in the top here. We have 8 different microphones. I'll cover all of that. Beginning here with the arpeggiations, which is a way of recording the natural arpeggiations on a violin. If you see a virtuoso, you're going to see them play up and down a lot. Pretty hard to do with traditional multi-samples. I could not really do this with spiccatos or even legatos. There's such an amount of imprecision when you play up and down. Maddie writes, hello from CT. I'm still at work, but look forward to watching later, and I wanted to check in and say hi. Hi. Let's just get back to the arps here. I'm try it out, see what happens. So this is a good example. When we play through these things, right now we're playing in opposite motions, meaning we have both violins going up and down at the same time. Let me just remove the delay here in one of these guys, if we can hear this more raw condition. So it allows us to go more like those are the sort of things that are hard to do with multi-samples. It's just, well, traditional multi-samples. If you listen carefully, let me just strip the reverb here as well. You can hear a lot of like imprecisions in the violin, good imprecisions. One of the sweet things as well is that we can repeat the same key multiple times. Now, I like to take this sort of idea of going up, but then like do the same notion coming down. So we're still moving upwards, but then we're going to play downwards on the keyboard. So it goes like, that's harder for a violinist to do because you're doing opposite motions. Now, speaking of an opposite motion, I can go up, I can go down, they're kind of cool to play in clusters as well. You can create all these like beautiful textures. Now, we can combine both of them. This sort of layout or math, if you will, took a while to figure out. It's about trying to give me that virtuoso feeling on the keyboard, but without having to play it, because I wouldn't be able to even if I tried. But now I can. The time structure is also pretty forgiving. Let's beef it up here like 20%. By the way, if I'm super geeky just going right into it, it's just because I've been living and breathing this library here. We can talk shit. We can talk shit on the chat. But for me, I've just been in Vivaldi world for too long, as Tanya and the team can surely attest to as well. This is with time stretcher on it. Or we can come the other way. Let's go like 20% slower. I want to say time stretching or 25% maybe. It's best around like the 25% mark. Also made one here just in homage to Thomas Newman. Let's see what I mean. And if we take each of these, it will go like. I love the way up here I can hear the strings sort of resonate into each other. You hear a little bit of overtone, a little bit of imprecisions with the fingers and all that stuff. That's why they have to be recorded this way here. I couldn't do it with spiccato. I mean, I could try to do this with spiccatos, but you'll see what I mean. It's simply too precise. It's like you can hear the separation of notes. Even if we did it with legatos, and this is about as good as legato gets, these are round robin based and with rebowing everything. Still not this, I still don't get the same grit. As I do when I use these guys up here. They're just more, I think maybe gritty is the right word. And also like just attention to detail. Me, when we sample, it's about shaping the note, giving it more life. So I like try to listen here. There's just a little bit of vibrato on that end note. Antelope is asking, what if you offset the left side of the keyboard, the right side, one up and one down, then a variation? Wow, I actually hadn't thought of that. So what you're suggesting, if I understand you correctly, is that we have two opposing motions, for example, like this, but that we use offset on them. So let's just shape them one by one here. Just going and get like that ending. Let's do it for both of them, just so we hopefully they match. We'll see. It's fine. So it works and it clicks. But if I understand you correctly, I think you were saying like you wanted them to be not the same. So one will be offset different than the other. Was that it? Let me just try. Let me just set the first one here too. And we know the other one is different here. Okay. Let's see. Wow. I mean, I'm sure we can dial it in if we try. Like, granted, this is completely random. That's a lot of violence. Let me try to isolate this. I feel it could be a little bit tighter. Maybe let's try it on a different rhythm here. Just okay. So if you look here in the UI, you'll notice that for the most part, it will state the key that is in. So for example, this patch here, I took all the keys that were in the root of D. So I can take all these different chords here. As long as I stay to sort of D minor-ish, I should be good. This one is getting triggered by the ARP. So it's kind of weird that we have ARPs, like recorded ARPs, if I turn it off. So arpeggiation is going up and down, but we can take ARPs played and put them in the ARP in Soundpaint, in which case we can do but to Antilopic's idea. Want to try to offset these guys here. You know, let me try, maybe not on the ostinatos, let me try this idea on the figures instead. I think that's going to be a little more interesting. The arps are sort of what they are. Okay, so this is a melodic figure. It's similar to the arp, but in this case here, we're not going up and down. We're just going either up or down in different scale fragments. We call these melodic figures. I come back to them all the time. It's one of those things that makes me feel more like a virtuoso on the keys than perhaps I am. Okay. And for this guy here, we have one coming down. So up and down. And we can see them down here on the key switches as well. So now we got like... So let's say that we want to take this second guy here on the offset. Da, 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 da. It's like a triplet. I mean, it's actually an interesting experiment because I feel like there's so much that can be done. We can use offset as well. But it's almost like every time we touch the master's tools, we have to be careful. That's definitely what I've learned in this library here as well. Like there's so many ways we can go. 96,000 samples will put into any universe you want to go into. But yet we also have to try to respect the framework of the masters. One thing, this project that hasn't happened thankfully too many times in my career, that we had to retake some of the sessions. And a part of that related to me understanding more about the instrument because I wanted, for example, to have all these arps and melodic figures in every single key, only to learn working with a conductor and the solo violinist, like that most of Vivaldi's music is written in like more like root kind of keys. So typically like D or A or G. And there's a reason for that. It's just easier to move around on the violin that way. So we can push it in Soundpaint. Want. But let me go back here to the melodic figures here and play a little more with them. There are so many ways to move around. This was inspired by Ludwig Göransson's beautiful Oppenheimer track. I wanted to kind of have the ability to try to do the same thing he was doing. But I did it 3 different tempos as well, and we can also go up and down. That's a slower tempo. We got a 195 as well. Oh my God, I didn't even know that this was a 4K 60 frames per second live stream. I'm getting some warnings like I'm pushing the bit rate. Let me know. I use these in the demo as well. I just think they're so beautiful. And in opposing motions. For me, I'm just immediately transported into like a Baroque world. I don't know about you guys, but and yet something very contemporary. And granted, we have 3 different speeds for this guy here, so that's covering most of it. We could try to go down to the one before and then speed that up, see how close we can get. Like, I really hope you guys will just like try to write some new seasons. Like, recently I was thinking like, you know, there's always these seasons in between. It's kind of interesting how we get locked to the idea of a season, summer, winter. What about the in-between ones, like late summer when all the fruits are ripe, but it's not fall yet? Also, one thing with the melodic figures is that we don't have to play them in their full length. So this one here in the key of D, augmented fifth going up. But we can also go like, so play them more in triplet fashion. So I just say that when you use them, you don't have to use them at full length. So we can use them as run building tools. And because of the time stretcher, we can definitely run on them even faster. For me, that's like not really Baroque, but more like motion picturesque, if you will. You can go down in tempo or speed, time. Or real slow, say like 50%. So if you play outside the scale, for example, this is augmented fifth in the root scale of D. We're fine as long as we stay within the scale, but if I start playing like a, I don't know, D sharp, they're kind of interesting, but we're in a territory we haven't been in before. Just try to go super slow, just see what happens. I love using time and going in slow motion. Sometimes we used to record players in slow motion as well. I learn more about the movement of the string. Let's see if we learn anything here. Stu, I want to take that to heart. Are you saying the volume coming out is too low of the instrument, or is my voice high? Just trying to figure out. I want to get the volume right here. You're saying the sound quality and the balance between voice and instrument nowhere near the quality of usually well-engineered demos. Oh my god, what are we gonna do? We can try to fix it in real time. I am noticing that my voice is louder than the output, so let me know if that's the case. Let me try to crank the volume here just to see if this helps for now. Is that better now? It's a little bit better. This is the lovely part about using online streaming. Let me just see if I can crank the volume a little bit on the screen. Is that better now? That help? I beefed up the audio 50% above 100 actually. Better? Okay, good. Just let me know. Dance, monkey, dance. My pleasure, of course. So, you know, it's weird. It's weird sitting here and playing this because, like, tell me one library that you've played that could do this. For me, it's a first, and it's also a first in terms of using this sort of new playable architecture. We'll come to the legatos and the ostinatos and all that, but for me, it had to be done this way, and it took me so long to figure out how to do these melodic figures and make sure we covered all the different chords and all that stuff. But for me, this is the way. Just as someone who's not a great player, I can get into that virtuoso territory just with a couple of fingers. It's just really, really like. Like I have enough control. So I just say that because we often, I think, like put legato as the hallmark of everything, and we have so much of that in the library, rebowing, round robin, all that. But for me, kind of have to just sometimes figure it out with other means. Speaking of that, this is a patch I call Figure It Out, where I took 8 different parts that I sort of felt related chord-wise, and then just like meshed them together and create these like, you know, almost like kaleidoscope mathy kind of things. Let's crank the volume a little bit on this one as well. You're good. Just a few questions. You were saying that you don't have to play the whole phrase, but how hard is it to make the feel seamless when cutting it short and starting another? It's really easy. I mean, it's like kind of playing a scale with one hand. And because of offset, we can also cut into the scale run here. Maybe add a little bit of a text then. You know, just create like new, strange. We're not locked. Anyway, back to opposing motion, or Figure It Out. The idea of combining more than one fragment. Fine. Now, we have melodic figures. And then we have runs as well. We spoke about Ludwig Göransson a little bit earlier on, and this idea about playing with time, not using the time structure, but just the phrases alone. So for example, when we do runs, we don't have to play them all the way. We can go like, or more triplet. And we can do runs in opposing motions. Now, we can also combine the melodic figure with a run. Now, the melodic figure is going up, the run is going down. What happens when we combine? We can also take the idea of a melodic figure going up and down, combine them, and combine them with runs going up and down as well. This is the figure it out part. It's so liberating on the keys. It gives me, in, I don't know, maybe with great instruments it's the idea about like the instrument responding with us, so it becomes more of a dialogue. That's what it feels like to me. Like I'm not just control, but the instrument is speaking back to me a little bit as well. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. It really is. And if I'm to show you guys the madness behind the scenes, take a look here. These are all the ultra deep sample parts in the library. And I mean, I'm scrolling fast right now. Just to give you an idea about it, like these are all the arpeggiations. And remember that each of these is like an ultra deep sample part. And just as we go down through here, melodic figures, I mean, there's a lot. There is a lot. Flatandos, we'll come back to them. A bucket load of legatos, baccatos, never mind the ostinatos, and then all the run building as well, also in different scales. I mean, it's nearly end. Jesus, I'm still scrolling. Sustains, staccatos, tremolos, trill fragments as well. Yeah, it's just it's a chunkster. It really is. There's no way out of it. Like this is what I spoke about earlier. Like when you sort of try to recreate like the tools, master's tools of a true genius, it's almost like playing with fire. Like you may go a little bit mad in the process. It's just it's kind of endless actually. I said in one of the videos that this library is going to be in my template for a long time, and just because it's not because of me or the library. It's because we're touching upon something that has a timeless essence in it. If you guys have watched like the Vivaldi video, he has a very tragic story behind him. Four Seasons were completely forgotten for 200 years and only rediscovered in the 1920s, and now the most classical piece of all time. What is it about it? What is it about the timelessness of it? So I can only ponder about that, but I know the library gives me that sensation. Like it gives me more than what I am. I honestly feel I've created a library better than myself. Right now, I load another patch here, melodic figures. This is all in the key of D. I just wanted to have all the sad melodic figures at my fingertips. So we have 8 key switches here. They all sort of work together. If I just stay here in D minor. Let me just crank up the volume a little bit. So that's one melodic figure, and then coming down. But then here is another one here. This is the augmented fifth. Versus. They're so beautiful to combine as well, like. We're not even, or at least I'm not really noticing that I'm changing scales here. They all just belong together. They're just all sad minor scales. So we have add 9, augmented fifth, minor D, and then minor 7 as well. And if we play all 4 side by side, it will be something like. Who would have known that would be 4 different scales? Just. Now we can combine them. Like for me, this one has a little more of a contemporary edge. And we're going up on both of them. So let's try to take this one here and come down while we're going up on this guy. Fine. There's your season in between. We also did stuff like power chords. And I mean, the legatos are open, so we can just skate around. And please do let me know if you guys want to hear any particular articulation. Just to briefly give you an overview here, we have 8 different microphones, and I should test the different colors as well. We have 4 branded microphones. Every microphone in the library is vintage. All of them are different. We have 4 branded microphones, so you can switch between Neuers or EKGs or Neumanns or Royers or EKGs. But you can also switch to spot mics. I wouldn't say this library is about microphones in a conventional sense, because I think that's so boring with libraries. Just give me the microphone that works. This is more the idea of having 8 different colors. So you'll notice that in the deeper videos, when I play around with them, it's really like having an ensemble. So you can build your own chamber ensembles because the colors of the microphones are so different. So someone is asking for ostinatos. Craig, that's exactly what you're going to get. Craig, let me know what microphone you want to try it on. Royers, Neumanns, AKGs, rears, spots 1 to 4. We'll try to play with the ostinatos, but using different microphone colors as well. It's don't think of this library as just a solo violin. It really can create chamber ensembles as well, particularly because we can play polyphonic legato as well. So let's see here. Start here with the ostinatos on a spot mic. It's going to be more like mono-esque. This one, maybe the most classical Vivaldi rhythm. Okay, Neumann it is. We'll come back to that one. So let's see here. We'll take the first ostinato here on the Neumann. So the phrase here is like da 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 da. Listen for the vibrato at the end. It's every 96,000 samples in this library, all of them have that like level of emotional detail. So this one here, there's a lot that can be done with this phrase because everything in the library is recorded with extensive depth. I can play the same note, and this goes for anything, melodic figures, arps, ostinatos. Notice I'm playing the same thing, but when I re-trigger it, it doesn't sound like machine gun. That's because we have natural variations for every single key. And it's also, if you often play ostinatos, they don't sync up super well. We spent a tremendous amount of time in terms of making sure everything is syncing. So even if you want to play something super dissonant, like, it works. So every single key is synced. We can play them repeatedly. We can play whatever we want. Let me try another mic just to compare here. Let's take the rear, really pretty, and take the second ostinato here. And for me, this one here like also lends itself a little bit to offset. Oh, that was interesting. This is disco strings. One of the interesting things about doing disco, we have another library in Soundpaint called Disco Strings. Before we did Vivaldi, is like essentially learning that Vivaldi and disco is the same thing. We've just been partying for 300 years. This thing is like straight up disco. Oh, this one. Oh my God, is this really true? Is this really happening? Almost. Little bit clicky. And in a mix, for example, like I'm really messing right now using offset on the ostinatos. I can take spiccato, and let's see, Vivaldi spiccato, and add on the top, just like say it's a little rough here. We can polish it up and smear it with a spiccato on top. It just to show you that you can take the ostinatos, throw them in offset, add spiccatos if it doesn't work out, whatever you want. You guys are asking, did you need to evolve the Soundpaint engine functions decide for the library? So you're continually evolving with even more adventurous libraries. What a great question. So if you notice here, you'll see our time module. And one of the most frequent requests we've gotten is like, hey, I want to be able to tempo sync this to my DAW. And I agree. So if you notice here in the library, you'll see that it says 130, 120. If you go into the parts here, if I type in Vivaldi and I type in BPM, you'll notice all these parts here have Vivaldi articulations or particulations. And there's a number in here, the BPM number. We're working on a new time structure that will do all the tempo syncing, this not just for this library, but for all of them. So to answer your question, yes. And it's not just what we have in the engine right now, it's also what's coming down later down the line in terms of improving upon all the libraries. So this one here, it would be great, of course, if it has tempo sync to your DAW. I do want to caution that I actually never use tempo sync myself. For the simple reason that it forces me on a grid. And when I work on the computer, I'm already sort of in quantized world. So I'll do anything to break off the grid. But we have it in there and we can use it as approximation as well. And we also have added a pitch to the time stretcher, which is a whole new feed that opens up a whole new rabbit hole of crazy things. So we have that in alpha right now. It's going to come out in a month or two. So yeah, it just goes through like it is the idea of keep evolving the feature sets as well. A lot of it has to do with what we're doing internally on the editor side as well, being able to do legatos, for example. As I mentioned, we have legatos with reboing. So that took some new tech in the engine as well. Meaning that I can play the same note more than once and not get the dreaded machine gun effect. Also stuff like polyphonic legato, a lot of like polish on the legato side. And with the legatos as well, it's not just that we have the ability to rebow. It's also that we can go between, like, it's interesting with samples. I'm gonna try to approach this from a little bit of a different angle. The two most common motions in music that I know of is either to repeat the same note or to alternate back and forth between two notes. Those are the two things we can't do with conventional sampling, and it's the most common motion. So for me, some of you guys may have felt this, like, it's like the library's forcing me to write in a certain way. I could never go back to the same note because I'm gonna get a machine gun effect. So for that reason, I'm now forcing my melody out of repetition. And that's sad. If you look at something, for example, like Vivaldi, there's a lot of repeated notes or a lot of alternations between the same two notes. We can do that now. So it allows us to go like, and it's actually good so you can play trills. Steve is asking, sync as if you were in the start of another mid phrase and it starts at the same point at the phrase. Steve, try to break this down a little more for me so I understand what you mean. Sync as if you're going to start another. Are you saying that you want two different ostinatos to, like one with offset and another one without? Let me know. We're in the middle of the ostinato, so let's go back. Let me try another one here. Let's switch to the AKGs just to show different mics here. So ostinato 3. This is getting triggered in the arp. This is just such a Baroque rhythm. Let me take the release down here. Let's kill the reverb here so we can actually listen to it a little more clearly. So for me, this one, that reverb is still there. So for me, this one here, we could argue this is a Baroque articulation. Right? And we can hear the inspiration of the player, that vibrato in every note. But for me, this could be Coldplay as much as it could be Vivaldi. Kind of want just that last da 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 da. Interesting. I kind of feel like trying to take this guy here and then reverse the fragment here. And then I kind of feel like not doing that. Steve is saying, you were saying that the ostinatos were all synced. Besides from being the same speed, I was curious that you can trigger second one partway in the second. Let me understand this. Like, besides being the same speed, I was curious if that meant... If I understand you correctly, let's just try to take the same ostinato that I just did. And we'll have two of them playing side by side here, and we'll just try some different experiments. Let me just clean up the offset here. So right now we're having the same thing played twice. You can hear it spacing. One of the beautiful things about the library is that all the microphones are phase aligned. So if we take two different mics, we're not going to get phasing. Slight discrepancy. Mixture here. Okay, so let's take time here and make it 50% slower here. So they should sync up somewhat, but this guy over here is 50% slower just to create some syncing things. A little bit faster, maybe? Okay, so that worked. And we could also try to offset it. So let me bring this guy. They're back to normal speed right now, but let's go into the phrase here. Okay, so I'm getting my question. The question is getting translated here. Let me try again. Like, we'll pick up where the first one, all the samples start. I think well, it's kind of weird when you chat with the chat here and then try to figure it out. I think what you're saying is that we can start with a phrase and then we can sort of continue that phrase with the offset on another part, if that's correct. So what I think you're saying is, and let me just load the key switches here as well. Let's just try this. I'll load the switches, that way we can just switch between both of them. We set this guy to C1 here. So now we have two different key switches we can alternate between. They're playing the same thing, but we're gonna set the offset here for 2 at a, I don't know. Okay, Marissa answered it, great. I was answering a different question that you didn't ask. But such goes live streams. So ostinatos, let me try a fourth one here. My pleasure. I try. You know, it's funny because there really is, particularly with this library here, and to your point, there's a lot of different ways we can build the material. It's endless. I mean, some of these guys here, you can even trigger in the arpeggiator, and they work kind of perfectly in the arpeggiator. Was it this guy here? Yeah. mean, it's kind of cool that we can play ostinatos in a raw, like synthetic arpeggiator and get away with it. Makes me happy. Got the runs as well. Runs are interesting because, like, in a way, runs is just a lot of musical blabber for the most part. Like, it's more like the like, even if you hear a conductor like say to the orchestra, it will be like the. So one could argue you don't need to record them in that many different scales. But I was like, yeah, let's just do it anyway. So we got Dorian, Hungarian minor, major, melodic minor, and minor as well, just for runs alone. And they work, and we're recorded at the same tempo. Really think as 130 as the prime number for this library. Obviously, with time searching, we can go anywhere we want. But it is really the idea of like 130 is the sweet spot. That's what I deemed as the global BPM for the Four Seasons. And with the runs here, because everything is lined up in this sort of kaleidoscopic way, it all matches together. Down. Isn't that beautiful? And for me, this also goes to show, like, you know, we're not just looking at a library that is so like traditional sample library and it's a solo violin. For me, this is like a chamber ensemble, but each of them playing delayed runs. This would be, you would have to, this could be done in physical reality, but you would have to rehearse for weeks to even do something as simple as this. Like with sort of delayed runs where one group stays and the other one runs. And especially going up and down at the same time, doing the same thing. So pretty. I mean, I could play this all day long. You guys feeling me? Like how it's just like it's like I feel I've been given the Four Seasons. These are things I always wanted to do. And I'm realizing I'm actually playing in the wrong keys, but never mind. Like, I didn't even notice. This was supposed to be in the key of C, not D. I was playing in D. An actual D, Dorian. Totally works. This should not work. That's Dorian and G. Okay, so Dorian must just be something that just theoretically works on every key. Okay, there. Okay, A did not work. We got a Hungarian minor. Yeah, Big Brain, you're right. It is bursting with possibilities. That's totally how I feel about it as well. You know, it's weird. It truly has been 3 years to make it. I mentioned in the video I've listened to the Four Seasons over 1,000 times to really get Vivaldi's DNA under my skin. Yet I'm sitting like a freaking kid in a candy store going like, oh my God. And the library keeps giving that way. That's why I mentioned, like, you know, when you build something like this, it feels like playing with fire. Like I was like, oh my god, I think I might have just scratched a little bit upon the doors of Vivaldi's genius. And particularly for me, I regard myself more as a rhythmic composer than classical. It's so cool that I can do like those would be like classical runs, but then all of a sudden go like more in like triplets down, like so first static up. What I mean is that I can use the library rhythmically as well. Try to slow them way down. Marissa is mentioning the admiration for flattados. Well, of course, you're saying the flattados because it was your idea to put them in. This is like maybe the most like Rossiny articulation in the library. I made one here with a sine wave on top. Okay, good. Oh, I'm looking at this. These are so sweet as well. So with Vivaldi, someone was just talking about horror. These were not intended for horror. We can make horrific thing. No, okay. Let me just go back to the flattados and just quickly make something horrific out of it. So if it was me and I was to make horror out of flattado, I would just take a color from here. I would adjust micro pitch so it works just on one key here and see what happens. Anyway, we can make horror in a different way as well. We can use trill fragments. These were not intended for horror-like purposes, actually the opposite, but you'll get what I mean. This button here allows me to move the key switches. I'm just gonna take them and move them up here a whole octave. That way they're a little easier for me to control. So horror, I mean, we can just take a couple of different fragments and different scales. And let me do the same trick again. Right click here on micro pitch, associate it to my mod wheel, so it's more detuned now. And we can take speed here as well, play with it. That's beautiful. And let me put one here on the same, but reverse the behavior. So micro pitch is going opposite directions. Oh yeah. And let's do that on this guy here as well. So now we've got complete. And let me just play around with the panning here as well, just to get a little more spread. Or super fast. Slower. Yeah, we can make it sound horrific. Also made one here. This is like the worst sounding articulation library. It was like deliberately taking a pizzicato and just messing it up and making it clicky. A horrific abuse of the library as well. One thing as well that can be cool, and we're entering the realm of more lyrical things again, is to use our color function up here on the violins as well. So this is using -5 on the legatos, making a little more like viola. Actually, it sounds a little more like kind of Baroque to me. One thing that's fun with the library as well is to like stretch the notion of what it can be. Yeah, we can play with solo violin to the end of days. This guy here, I took it -12, making it more sound like a sort of medieval cello. Mono, flottando, sustain. It just goes to show like, oh, I love this one, by the way. The Talented Mr. Ripley, track number 5 by Gabriel Jared, has a track called Crazy Tom that's easily on my like top 3, top 5 soundtracks of all time. I was trying to recreate the same form of madness by using 4 different melodic figures. No, 2 melodic figures and 2 runs in combination. But because you're always using the same BPM, it just matches. So 4 different instruments playing at the same time. I say that because this library is so much more than just solo violin. This is truly a very, very well rehearsed chamber ensemble. And even on that end note, you can hear everyone is trying. Everyone is the same player, but it sounds like a group. I should mention that everything I'm showing in this video here, we've recorded for ensemble as well. It's coming out fairly soon. The whole thing is done. So we have an ensemble library that matches this, but this library alone here is certainly capable of playing chamber ensembles. Now, I want to say, like, for me, like, a lot of the heart in the library is around the arps, the arpeggiations, the ostinatos, and all that stuff. We have short notes as well. We have our tried and true spiccatos and marcatos, pizzicatos, all the attos, if you will. And even on the short notes, we got vibrato. And just to compare the lengths. So they're designed to be used in a compatible sort of fashion. Use them with the ostinatos, all the other tools as well. We can use them standalone as well. But for me, just for Baroque, something's colorful and expressive, I would say, unlike traditional sample libraries where we always come back to spiccatos and all those things, they just don't sound as good. Have them here, they're done as well as they can be. But for me, if I wanted something truly alive, I would use ostinatos for the most part. Don't always think of legato as something that requires alternating notes. Even within something like very quick brushes, there's a lot of interconnectedness, which is why the ostinatos just sound different than the spiccatos. I mean, if we were to do, let's just compare actually. Let's take this first one here. If we were to do that, no, it's just not the same. And we can even try with the marcatos. This one is a good example, actually. Minus the reverb. Let's try that with the short notes. I mean, that one was decent, actually. But the ostinato still sounds better. I think a part of it relates to when you do both strokes, some of the sound is carried in the body of the instrument. So it's carried over to the next note. So it's not just legato for the string, but it's also legato just in the sheer resonance of the instrument. Physics. Let me just check the chat here. There's been a few things. These techniques with this library combined with cage instruments. Hello, Mr. Hitchcock. Yeah, as Marissa mentioned, we have a library called Cage Concert Aleatory Group Effects, which is massive collection of these things. For any of you guys who adore Hans Zimmer's Interstellar soundtrack, Cage was used pretty predominantly on it for a lot of the orchestral effects. So it's a wonderful effects library. I would not put this in a class. I mean, we can create effects out of this library, but I wouldn't say it's a typical effects library. But because of the sheer depth of the articulations, there's a lot of things. I would also say, when it comes to effects, we have them all in Cage. We have another library called Case, which is concept aleatoric solo effects, millions of samples. But in a way, perhaps it's exactly libraries like this that we need on top to push it further. Effects are sort of easy to do on strings, but what about lyrical effects? What about like exploring things we haven't totally done before because we can now? That for me is probably more interesting, especially when it comes to like more lyrical effects. We're playing figures up and down, for example. Let me just try this on another mic. Let me just switch to a few spot mics so you can hear. Let's take here. PD next. For me, I'm more like, I kind of want to explore effects more in this sort of department. Let me just try to reverse. I tried to reverse before and it was weird. Let me try to offset the time a little bit here. Yeah, this is more like, this is what I mean with like more lyrical effects. So for me, just because aleatoric, we've heard it so many times, and it's always scary and detuned. I did it early in the video here. It's so easy. But for me, perhaps some of the finer brilliance is not always just to do the tried and true, but to try to push the bar. Kind of cool. We got a reverse violin going here. We can sort of detune this one to see, like, make it more effectsy. Let's see here. That's a little too much for my taste. I'm gonna dial this guy down here. So we're just on the fringes of uncomfortable. And we can, let's slow down time on the reverse fragment. That's just something we haven't heard before. So yeah, let's make this into a aleatoric library as well. But I just want to say, like, lyrical. It's all the detuned stuff. Anyone can do it. But with this level of equilibristic acrobatics for this virtuoso kind of writing, I find we're treading into new territory. The Vivaldi Heim's good example. I really think Ludwig Göransson did justice on the Oppenheimer soundtrack. Let's see here on the chat. Sorry, but I have minimal experience and nearly no formal historical. Well, I'm learning. Big Brain, welcome to the club. I don't have formal music education either. I've learned all this by ear, and I actually almost take that back. I think after building this library, I probably do have some kind of formal music degree. It really took all my brain power and the brain power of many, many other wonderful individuals to figure out the math behind this library, if you will. So you're not alone. Someone made a reference to Hitchcock. Yeah. Detuning goes a long way giving that someone strange here. Yeah, detuning is great. When I talk about exploring aleatoric in a different way, it's mainly because we have a tool here that to me is nearly infinite. Like, there's so many things I can do in here. And we can reverse that coming the other way here. We can detune it. But I think when I listen to Vivaldi, for example, and forgive me, I'm just going to be a little bit of a snob today because I'm in Vivaldi world, and I feel I've discovered some timeless essence in there. You don't hear a lot of detuning or aleatoric in Baroque. That's not to say we shouldn't do it or couldn't do it, but I think some of the timeless essence does relate to the more lyrical aspects. So for me, just because and maybe just because we've done so many libraries with effects and we have them to the 11th degree, which is the largest collection in the world of orchestral effects. I just think there's something so beautiful about trying to explore the lyrical domain of them. It seems to me that a lot of the timelessness, if we take Barber's Adagio or Vivaldi or Beethoven or Bach, it's always sort of huddled in lyricism, if you will. So, yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is just to embrace the lyrical aspects of the music, and it's almost like with effects as well. I rarely use distortion unless it's a really, really good distortion. It's just nasty, and it could be cool if I'm doing my 9-inch nail, whatever. But I think for myself at least, my ear caters more and more towards like the lyrical aspects in the uncomfortable lyrics. What should we try next? What are you guys curious about? We have 4 spot microphones. We can. Oh, one thing I have not done is to show you guys the mics actually. Just I'll just build the patch from scratch here instead. Maybe just do the pizzicato. That one is good. Come on. I'm just gonna load every single pizzicato articulation. We have 8 slots. We have 8 mics. So I'm just gonna populate the whole thing here, just to quickly show you guys. And which is here. Ambient is asking, hello, I missed the beginning of the live stream. Did you show how long, short, and legato articulations already? Let me just show this quickly, Fabian, and then I'll come back and show a little more of that. But let's just compare the mics just quickly here so you guys can hear them. I'm just going to make the volume a little bit louder. Yeah, pizzicato is good to demo on. So this is the rear microphones. It's a completely wooden studio, by the way. For me, also with this library here, I started reading a lot about wood to understand the properties of wood, and I'll make the argument that wood is music. So a wooden room and a wooden instrument tend to go well together. Rear, Royers, spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, 4, CLMs, and XY. And combined, we can make all these different colors. I'm just mixing different key switches randomly. Now, that was the microphones. A little bit boring to demo. Let's do the legatos here. The cantabiles. Let me load my, I come back to the wires all the time. Let's take the piano cantabile here. Now, it's polyphonic legato. And it's legato that has rebowing in it as well. Can you play Deliverance? Oh man, I wish I could play that well. I know exactly what you mean. It's liberating having true polyphonic legato, like, and we can go all jazzy as well, go Williams. Also for me, I mean, this could be pop music as much as it could be Baroque. We can also put the legatos in the arpeggiator. I just figured out this the other day, actually. And we can, let me just try to load another legato articulation here as well. Craziness. John is saying, I love your deep solo strings a lot, but I have noticed when the fast runs patches, the legato seems to be out of latency. It seems the fast runs are much better in this library. Yeah, John, I have to agree. Obviously, we learn things over time as well. If I was to just briefly demonstrate how deep the runs goes in this library here, let me just quickly show you just the different approaches to it. So, for example, if we take just a legato here, that's pretty good for legato, right? Like, I don't think you could even do that in the other library either. And we have round robin on the same key here. We can do alternating between back and forth. So if you do runs like, you can do that as well. That's great. That's as far as we can push legatos. These are very nimble. I have to play with the overlaps, but that's one way of doing it. Then we have the melodic figures here that you can also use for runs. Let me just take one here. And the melodic figures really do like time stretching on them as well. So if you want to do really fast run building, let's push it up to like 40%. And they come in all scales, all fragments, up and down. We can combine them. Go the other way here, just to show like the breadth of speed controls. Well, let me try something here. Let's take this one coming up, slow, and then let's go super fast and speed coming down here. Interesting. I mean, try that with most other libraries. Now, those are the figures. We have the arps as well that can do sort of the same thing. Let's turn up the volume. volume. So we can go like. Now, all that said, we can also do the runs, like really record it the right way. So John, as you can see, like there's so many different ways of doing runs the right way. So they don't even compare, man. I want to say like most things we've done, I would put in the bucket of like pre-gen. This is one of the first like current gen libraries for all I care. I just learned so much, and this was 3 years. This is the first library out of many. There's a whole kaleidoscope of libraries that are designed to connect this way, cellos and so forth. So yeah, that's runs for you, man. And you know, it's interesting as well. Like we just, you know, we learn as developers too. These legatos is about as good as it's gonna get right now. We do have one more legato technology we're working on together with a dear friend of mine. That's probably gonna push it further, so we'll get even closer. But for me, I just like having all the different tools, arps, figures, ostinatos, runs. I can sort of do all these things with them. So yeah, it's just a way of like trying to really surround myself with something as difficult as runs to ensure that I have all the tools at my disposal, if that makes sense. Did this cover it? Are you convinced? You know, speaking of the solo violin, I actually have it here. We're working on it right now. This is not Vivaldi violins, but just to give you guys a little bit of an idea about it. Like one thing I love about this library is that we have all these beautiful bowings. So that's the deep solo violin in Soundpaint coming out as well, and it'll go well together. I mean, generally speaking, libraries are pretty like graceful. Vivaldi Solo Violin here, you can use it together with virtually any sample library here and just have all those things at your disposal. And it's also the ability to play more than just one instrument, but you can make mini ensembles out of it as well. And as I mentioned, we have an ensemble volume coming out as well. So yeah, I hope that clarified it, man. I really like, in all honesty, when you make libraries, sometimes like some creations are better than others. And this one for me is like, just sitting in demo with you guys right now, I'm like, oh. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I really am. And I hope you guys just pick it up because it's a no-brainer. It can do so many things that I haven't been able to do before. Anyway, let me know what you guys want to hear. We have arps, figures, legatos, ostinatos, runs, sound labs. We can also just start messing around and building stuff. Let's try the pizzicato harps here. Oh yeah, I remember. This is a hidden gem combining the pizzicatos from the libraries with our 1928 piano and harps as well. I did say cello, yes, but that's all I said. One tiny detail. Oh, I forgot. I have this fancy angle here as well. I made this whole thing up so I could look cool. I totally forgot about it. One thing with the library is that there's always round robin on everything we do, and that's liberating in itself and incredibly time consuming to do. But we also did things, for example, the ostinatos. I didn't even cover that before in velocities. So this patch here, I used the touch module here. I cut off the top velocities. We're playing the softer ostinatos. So even ostinatos actually come at different kind of velocities. So if I show you here first, like the part one. But we also have softer variations. Try on the rears here. Fabian is mentioning, I like the violin scratchiness. No, Fabian, it's a fine line. Like, I wanted some of that rosin in there, and it's typically stuff that we tend to edit out in sample libraries because we want them oh so perfect. But there's nothing perfect about a violinist playing fast. When we record them in slow motion, 240 frames, we started noticing that even when they go in vibrato, they do it because they don't really know. The margin for error on the high string and the violin is so tiny that no human, not even the great Ishak Perlman, can figure it out. The aesthetic of vibrato, this is my theory at least, simply developed because you're skating around at such a tiny area of imperfection. So I just say that because when it comes to run building, when it comes to playing really fast, there's such an amount of natural imperfection in there. And things we as clinical sample developers tend to let the science rule a little too much. It's actually about embracing the imperfection, not the perfection of the performance. The scratchiness on the violin the same way. You'll know with any great player that they'll work. They'll do everything they can to move out of scratchy world, but when you play so fast, you get squeaks and harmonics and all that stuff. It's a part of the beauty. I just had an idea. Let me take this one again here and go -12. But then let's go twice as fast in the speed here. It's gonna sound weird, but that's why. Someone asked about cellos earlier. This would be a poor man's cello. Okay, maybe a cello act to only be 5 tones, not 12. Let's try again. Let's slow it down a little bit. Okay. Is that cello like for you? Sorta. Oh, it works down here. Okay. Just checking on the chat here. Say you want to use these presets, but in a specific BPM. Right. So Tom, you're right in asking that question. I covered it a little bit earlier. We are working on what we call Time Pro, which is a new module for Soundpaint. They'll do all the tempo syncing. We know that the vast majority of this library is recorded at 130 BPM. So if we take an ostinato like this guy here, you would quickly have to do the math. You can, use a BPM calculator to get it to 119. I will say, I personally never use tempo sync. I always measure by ear. So the way I would do it if it was me in the DAW is that I would say, okay, I know it's 130, so I'm going to come down like maybe 10% here, and that's roughly where I'm going to be. I would measure that to the click of the DAW and then just see where it is. I would not quantize. Even though this library has variation in every single note, I would just play it till it sounds good and then measure that on the grid. I cannot stress enough, and it doesn't matter whether you had DAW sync or not, to just try to not quantize when you do classical music. It sounds so much better. I often get questions regarding my mockups, and I swear half of it's not me. It's simply just working freely on the grid. So that's the way I would do it. I would just put it down here 90%, then that would probably give me about 119. The rears are so chunky. I like them. Let me switch to the Royals here. They're just a little more like present. Thanks, Tom. And it might sound like I'm trying to talk my way out of it. Again, we will have a module that has sync in it, but even when we have it, I'm not going to use it. I always use my ear. I think I learned it years ago with the Suzuki method on violin, which doesn't use notation for the first many years. You just go like, use your ear. Those beautiful ears of yours. Word heart has the word ear in it. There's a reason we can hear art, hear all the same word. It's so pretty. The Pickle Onions say, hi trolls, is it possible to play figures at the same tempo from the lowest to the highest note? I can't seem to figure this out in the time rec. Good question. Let's cover the figures for a second here. Let's just take the add 9 here. So if I understand your question correctly, you're saying like, well, is it possible to play the figures at the same tempo from the lowest note to the highest note? And is it? Well, it would be the lowest note of the violin. But remember that melodic figures are scale-based fragments. If you look carefully here in the UI, it says D, G, A. That's the root note of that figure. So the lowest note we're going to be playing is whatever D is the lowest on the violin here. So in that scale, D is the first note. There's nothing below it. That's where that scale starts. And then we can move upwards. And in this scale here, if I'm not mistaken, this scale here for the add 9, we're going to be playing D, E, F, and A. Then we can play that in octaves. But if I go below that, I just get the same sample because I'm out of the scale. So melodic figures are intended to be played in the scale. If I play outside the scale, strange things will happen. And I did that in my demo because I really love this sort of little Williams, like you think you're in the scale. But if I play it up here, all of a sudden we fall out of the scale. It gets crazy. Maybe there's a little bit of the horror we spoke about earlier on. So yeah, you play within the melodic range, or within the scale range, I should say, when it comes to melodic figures. I demonstrated a little bit earlier on. This is a patch, for example, where I have all different melodic figures in sort of sad scales combined. These are all in the key of D. To just describe a little more what I mean is that if you look here at the melodic figures, you'll see it says A here, it says D here, it says G. Those are the root keys for them. Most of Vivaldi's music revolves around those 3 root notes because it's easier to play on the violin. So combine them, use them freely. You can use the time stretcher, you can use offset. There's so many different ways to mangle them. As I demonstrated earlier, it's not just playing them in a conventional sense. It's also the fact that we can take them and we can play them up and down, or both together, or mix different scales. Oh, this is so pretty. This is an add 9 going up, a minor 7 coming down at the same time. Melodic figures. That answer it? If not, just let me know. Bob saying, can any of these libraries innovations be ported over into your brass and your woodwind products, perhaps as updates? Bob, that is a great question, man. Yes and no. There are a lot of these things that we need to record this way, and we have to do that for other libraries as well. There are ways to get around it when it comes to the updates. We are working on technologies that will allow us to do that, hopefully down the line. It's a tremendous amount of work to do this. This is the first out of many going in this direction here, but also, at some point, like, learn so much as developers, and this, for me, is sort of a breaking point where most of our older products, and I want to say like the generals, like World of Contact, goes in a bucket out called pre-gen. This is the first sort of current gen library. At some point, someone has to turn the page, and that's what's going on. But that said, we are working on some technologies that will hopefully allow us to do this to some of the older libraries as well. Because I agree, like, there's a lot of beauty in the old libraries. There are things they can't do. We've learned. This was 3 years of my life going deep down the rabbit hole, understanding the tools of genius here, and coming out more informed. And it's not just the math of these things here, it's also just the emotion, paying really close attention to every single note. With regard to stretching the bottom sample below the key range, does that technology not exist to change the speed? You guys are so good. Great technical questions. So Steve, as I mentioned, we're working on a module called Time Pro. We have an alpha right now that both allows us to do pitch, time stretching and pitch at the same time, but you can alternate the pitch without affecting time. That required building a whole new set of technologies. So we actually have it, and it's going to be in there to really, really start getting strange, because now we can start pitching down and still playing at the same time, or vice versa as well. So it's coming. Excellent questions. Yeah, you guys are pretty deep down the technical rabbit holes. I like it. This is where we're heading. And then at the same time, let's not just get lost in feature creep and over engineering. Like, at the end of the day, let me just feel like the genius that I'm not on the keys. Thomas Scarby had such a wonderful comments years ago. He said, like, to make a great sample library is a little bit like the Matrix, where Neo learned Kung Fu. It's like, I've learned Virtuoso Violin. Big Brain is asking, you mentioned the editor earlier. Any vague updates as you could share how that worked and third-party libraries are progressing? Big Brain, we have a lot of different things at development, and sorry, sometimes this library just pulls me out of my thinking. The challenge building technologies is that you can't do it all at once. You have to do it the right way and the right order. So we're working on some things that are leading up to that. We have an internal tool that we use that's called ACE, Advanced Sample Editor, which is going to be online, coming out at some point when we feel we're ready for it. We're working on a new update for the USI, which is our user sample import. I think we're a lot better on that, and I think the team thoroughly agrees on that. Then there are other things, just like we talked about Time Pro. We have some whole other things that I can't go into right now that we're working very actively on. It's really going to expand the engine in a way that I think most people didn't predict. So a part of the exercise for me is really to listen to you guys and suggestions like this. Try to shape that with our internal development and our internal ambitions as well. So sometimes we'll come out and surprise. Sometimes we'll follow the exact directions of the community. For example, key switches here, and I have to admit that I was wrong this one. I didn't want to have key switches in the beginning because I felt they were sort of ruining the keyboard. For me, the last part we have left is this beautiful board here. Like why like destroy that or pollute that with key switches? But then you guys said you wanted it, and I was like, fine. But if we do it, let's do it in a way so we combine as many key switches as we want, which is not typical in Contact. So all of a sudden we've done something new. And I think for me that's really like a lot of it is about like figuring out the right order of doing these things. What's most important? What does the community want? What do we need internally? Try to stagger that. And I mean, it's hard, really hard. It's hard to figure out those priorities and trying to please as many people and ourselves as well. But you know, I learned a valuable lesson. I worked in video games for many years, and when I began in games, I was like, let's do focus groups and let's do analysis. I came from the university, and only to realize that people making games really make games for themselves. And over time, I've had to shift my perspective. Like this library here is to and for myself, really. Like this is all the stuff I can't do with existing libraries. That's why we started this whole enterprise in the beginning. I've always just been frustrated with what I couldn't do, and now I can. That makes me happy. Back to the chat. Thanks for the response. Baritone, tenor, sax, trumpet. Yeah, might be open for, yeah. Bob, I agree. And just to touch upon those instruments in the more rhythmic categories. For me, done so much classical sampling. This is a good example of it. But I'm really, really curious about rhythmic sampling as well. For me, I'm more a rhythmic person. I didn't come from the classical world. So I've learned to appreciate it over time and respect it and see the parallels as well. I just say that because with what you just mentioned, we're working hard on that, but for current generation as well. As I mentioned before, a lot of these older libraries are beautiful. They're going to live in my template, but we've just learned a lot of things. So what you see here with phrasing, imagine that for like brass as well. Steve has a non-technical question. Have you credited the violinists who performed with these samples? No, Steve, I actually thought about it. We chat, and I should ask him. It's not always that people want to do this, but sometimes they do. This was a wonderful player. We actually going to record him very soon again. So I'll figure that out if he wants to or not. I'm certainly not against it at all. Yeah. Anyway, we're coming up on 2 hours of me rambling about like Vivaldi Solo Violin. Do you guys have anything specific you want to see? Or have we covered most of it? You guys let me know. I'll just jam a little bit in the meantime. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, man. It hasn't felt like 2 hours for me either. I still have coffee left. Cold though, but whatever. I'll take it. Ostinato 6. You know, Tom, if you've never worked with orchestral instruments before, this is like the best one to start with. Because for me, I'm a freaking like little kid in a candy store here. Like it gave me everything I ever wished for. So it's the most inspiring classical instrument that I've ever touched on the keyboard. So I would start with this one if you just want to, and also because you're going to feel like a virtuoso in the process. You're going to feel like, oh my god. Someone is asking, can you demonstrate the cantabile legato? You want the pianissimo, the mezzo piano, or the forte? Steve says, thank you for your time. It flew by. You made it. Oh, thank you, man. It's not that hard when the library does all the talking, you know? Thank you, John. Hope to see you. Thank you for your questions as well. I'm learning a lot from you guys as well. A good amount of Soundpaint came from the community. Yeah, Tom, that's kind of why we made Soundpaint. Ooh. So Bob, you're touching a soft spot on that one. You're mentioning steel lap guitar or lap steel. Yes. Very, very difficult instrument to sample. Obviously because of the legato and all the foot pedals and all that stuff, but that is one instrument. You know, it's also an instrument that you kind of need to know how to play. That speaks to this library as well. Like, I'm not a virtuoso violinist in reality, and I think one of the challenges with sample libraries and one of the things that frustrates users, sometimes they buy something, it's like, well, I don't sound like a virtuoso because like I don't know enough about the phrasing. This library is right in between where it's like, shit, like it actually sounds like, and I don't really know what I'm, even though I designed the whole library, I don't really know always what I'm doing, but I know it sounds real, to my ears at least. And I get that sort of virtuoso feeling. So that's the whole spirit of it. Anyway, let me just demonstrate a few of the cantabiles here. You know, it's funny with legatos, like for me with this library here, I think I use melodic figures and arps more than the legatos. And I think we just gotten so conditioned that everything has to be legato, but like there are just things in here that warrants a different method of playing. So for the legatos here, even though they are nimble and I can even do almost trill-like things on them, like it's still not the same as like for all the reasons I mentioned in this video. There's such an amount of imprecision going on when you run. So that's why it is that way. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you everybody. Alan, for tuning in. Thank you, Tom, for sponsoring us. This means so much to me. It's a personal project designed to just inspire on the keys, really. And just, I think just in the process, we've been so fortunate to discover something that for me is like, oh, like we haven't gone here before with sampling. Like, there's something truly miraculous about this design. So the first out of many. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll do another live stream soon enough. But appreciate it. I feel I should have some wise words at the end here, but just stay true to yourself. Musically speaking, it's all about finding our own voice.